Do it slowly. Rotate the crankshaft until you should feel that.
It's going down.
Okay, it's fine. Keep going. It'll start going up in a minute. So keep going. Okay, do you hear that?
Yep.
That's not good. That's not a good sound at all. No, keep going, keep going.
What does that sound mean?
Well, it says that the cam chain is slipping over the cogs of the camshaft gears. There you go. Done it again, right? So that's not good. But keep going until that piston is no longer moving. Keep going.
There's another one on that side.
Okay, no, hold on. You see that piston's going down now.
Is it?
Can't you feel it?
Oh yeah.
The screwdriver's going down.
Okay, well, I can lift it up.
But keep going, keep going, keep going.
Right, can I just go up the other way?
No, keep going.
Which one is this?
Keep going.
To this one. Oh wait.
Okay, this valve timing is way out. Okay, so this should be on firing stroke. So that lobe there should be pointing horizontally outwards, and it's not. And that lobe, your exhaust lobe here, should be facing the inlet lobe. Okay, so now you know what's wrong, is that the valve timing is out by a country mile. So is this a top dead center?
Still going up.
Yeah.
There we go.
Is it, okay, it's a top dead center.
I think so.
By the head, well, just mind your head. Okay. Okay, so what we've got a situation here is that right now it's 360 degrees from where we want it to be, right? Because these are facing each other, which says that this one's about to go on induction stroke, okay? Which means that this is on the, so this piston's going to start going down to open the inlet valves to let fuel in. This one is the one that's on firing stroke. But again, I can just tell, it's pointless going any further, I can tell by the position of the lobes and the fact that that piston's at top dead center that this valve timing has poked. So I'm not hearing any interference. I'm not sensing that the pistons have struck the valves. So I'm guessing, and it is just a guess, that this is a non-interference engine. Non-interference meaning that in the combustion chamber of the head there is sufficient clearance for the valves such that they can move and open without striking the pistons.
Yeah.
An interference engine, the cylinder head would be screwed. Now, if this is an interference engine, then we're in for a bad time, because then we'll have to take the head off.
Yep.
If the pistons are just dented, it's fine. Then we can just see if we can have the head rebuilt or just get another head. I don't mind if the pistons are dented. I can get away with that. All right. So those dents will eventually fill up with carbon. So that's not a problem, as long as the pistons aren't cracked. That's our biggest thing, is the pistons aren't cracked.
Yep.
So okay, well, right now we've just got to start doing more stripping. Okay, we've established that the valve timing is horrendously out. So almost certainly this chain is stretched beyond, well, in fact we can see it stretched beyond its useful life. So the car's done 130,000 miles, so that's hardly surprising. The other thing that causes premature wear on these timing chains is poor maintenance schedules. So not replacing the oil at the suggested intervals, and using poor quality oil, because this relies on tension. There's a hydraulic tensioner in there, and that tensioner, hence by the name hydraulic, requires a good flow of oil to keep this taut. If we end up with slack like that, that slack just amplifies the wear. All right, it's backlash in the system. So what we're going to be doing now is my son is going to strip off all the ancillary components. We're going to currently removing all the sensors, all the cables. We're then going to take off the plenum, the throttle body. We're going to get rid of all of that. We're going to remove the exhaust manifold. We're going to drain the coolant system. We'll take off the auxiliary belt here. All right, we'll get rid of all this peripheral equipment, and then we're going to unbolt the cylinder head, and we'll strip the cylinder head. Now that will mean that we'll need to get a new cylinder head gasket. What we'll do is that when the head is off, if everything looks fine, we'll probably strip the head entirely. We'll lap the valves to make sure that they're all sitting in their seats correctly. We'll clean the head thoroughly, and then we'll test it with a straight edge to make sure that it hasn't warped. And as long as it's all straight, and as long as there's no damage to the valves or to the pistons, we will then reassemble, and we will fit a brand new timing chain, time this up, and fingers crossed this should run again. We will see.
So this is where we are on this project so far. So just to recap, I bought this it's a Toyota Yaris for my son. It cost me £200 from one of his friends. His friend's mother was driving along one day and it just stopped. Now, that was the initial narrative they gave me. However, I suspected all along, just from the symptoms, that the cam chain had jumped. And almost certainly this would have given a huge amount of warning. I mean, when these things start to stretch, they rattle like absolute crazy. So they would have known that something was wrong. And indeed, it turns out later on that the car was making a horrendous noise. They just chose to leave that little nugget of information out. But it doesn't matter. The purpose for buying this car was purely to teach my son how to fix a car. You know, there's a lot of mystery sold around the internal combustion engine, especially from the EV brigade. They'll tell you how complicated this is, that this thing, this tiny little thing here, supposedly has 2,000 moving parts, which is an absolute load of garbage. It's got less than 100 moving parts, all right? Actual moving parts. We're not talking about every single nut and bolt. These nuts and bolts don't move. They simply hold things down. The camshafts move. The what's called the cam followers, or the valves under there, they move, all right? Obviously that moves, and the pistons and the crankshaft move, all right? But there's certainly not 2,000 parts here, but they'll make it out that, wow, this is so complicated, and, you know, the EVs are so much simpler because they've got fewer moving parts. Yeah, they may have fewer moving parts, all right? But there's a couple of lies here. One, this doesn't have 2,000 moving parts, nowhere near even 100 moving parts. Two, this is just a giant jigsaw puzzle. Now, obviously not everyone knows how to repair them, but trust me, there is nothing complicated about this. It is just a series of moving parts that when you understand how they go together, you start realizing just how simple this thing is, right? So, I don't know, I've certainly never come across a degree course at a university for automotive mechanics. So you're telling me that guys, many of whom dropped out of high school and fell into this job, can do something that you with a PhD can't do, all right? Seriously, if that makes sense to you, then, as Elon Musk says, you know, education is no measure of intelligence. Now, I haven't told my son how to do things here. I've given him guidance in terms of steps of disassembly, all right? I'm letting him do this 100% himself, right? You know, if he makes mistakes, if he breaks things, that's fine. At £200, this is a sacrificial vehicle. If, you know, I don't really care what happens to it. Ideally, we want to get it running, and I know for a fact that we will get it running. That's not in question. Once we've got the engine running, we're going to strip this right down. We're going to get rid of all this corrosion. We'll make this look really nice and new again. We'll give this a nice acid bath, get rid of that corrosion. It'll come up beautifully. It'll shine. The gearbox will shine. We'll sandblast the engine block there, get rid of that rust, and then we'll paint the engine block, I don't know, something like nice, red or something, or blue maybe. I don't know. In fact, blue would make more sense seeing as the car's blue. But we'll make it look really nice, and it'll run like a sweet nut. But, this really is just to teach my son how this works, so he has a good understanding. Now, the thing you must know about my son is a musician. He's not a natural mechanic, all right? He's a musician, but he's taken an interest in this because he realizes that being self-sufficient, especially in the mechanical world, is going to see him in good stead moving forward. Now, even if in 10 years' time he is driving an EV, the thing to understand about an EV is that even if the power output or the power delivery system is different, right? So you'll have a 3-phase motor in there. The rest of the stuff is going to be the same. The steering rack, all right? So down there, I've got my column coming down from the steering rack inside the car. That thing down there is the steering rack. That goes to the wheels via connecting rods. So I've got an output shaft on the steering rack there. And I've got what's called tie rod ends, all right? So that's all the same. Your braking system, your wheels, all the stuff behind here is exactly the same on an EV. Believing that these things are fundamentally different is just plain foolish. And, as I said, I'm giving him guidance, but he's got a workshop manual there. If he gets stuck, I've told him to read the workshop manual. If I tell him what to do, he's not going to learn anything. You learn by doing, you learn by making your own mistakes. And whether it's, the internal combustion engine or whether you're an IT engineer, I always say, going to classes is one thing, but actually doing is 100% the best way of learning something. Because when you do it, when you've made those mistakes, when you've overcome those issues and those challenges, those experiences stay with you for life, right? They become your lifetime fallbacks, because you're going to hit those problems again, and you'll reflect on that experience, and you'll be able to resolve that problem a second time. If somebody just tells you what to do in a training classroom, or if you read it from a book, it's not going to stick. You've got to do. So essentially what we're going to do here now, moving forward, is with the engine still in situ, we're going to jack up the engine. We're going to remove the engine mount. We're going to take off the cylinder head. That's going to remove the weight as much as possible. We will then, I haven't decided yet whether or not we'll take the engine out or take the gearbox out at first. I think there's enough clearance there that we can separate the gearbox and slip the engine to the left, and then the engine should be able to come out. Right, so taking the head off will reduce the weight a huge amount, and then we'll be able to. So once the head is off, the engine block is not that heavy, especially on a small little 4-cylinder engine like this. But yeah, I will continue with this series of videos, and hopefully it'll culminate in a few months' time. We don't know. It might even take longer because he's at university. So if he goes to university and it has to sit here for the next 6 months, that's absolutely fine by me. We've got other cars out there. He's got a little Corsa that you can't see. I've got my little Kia Picanto that I've modified. That's the one I've said before that I've modified to run on any fuel. I've got my Prius. So yeah, we're not short on cars. So yeah, watch this space. Keep a tune on my videos, and hopefully you'll learn something as well. Cheers.